the past 2.5 decades, India has firmly positioned itself as a global hub for knowledge-based industries. What began as an offshore base for shared service and IT support in the late 1990s has evolved into a powerful engine of innovation, strategy, and global transformation. I'm Clement, and having experienced the growth of GCCs firsthand while building learning and development functions at various GCCs, it is indeed a proud moment for corporate India. As global capability centers continue to exponentially grow, they are also facing several issues. And against this backdrop, Rohit Chowdhury's book, The Future-Ready GCC, launched in 2025, focused on 7 critical challenges facing this industry and also some practical strategies on how to transform cost centers into innovation hubs. Today, Rohit launches the sequel, The Future-Ready GCC Leader. Rohit, congratulations on the sequel.
Thanks.
Curious to know what's this book all about?
Thanks, Clement. That was a good introduction. Like you've already mentioned, the first book, which was called The Future-Ready GCC, focused on the GCC. And this new book focuses on the leader who's in the GCC, and it is called The Future-Ready GCC Leader. The tension this book addresses is about the leadership identity. The leaders have come with a certain identity so far. The question is that sufficient to take them forward on what they want the GCCs to become? So that's where this book comes in.
In your book, you talk about leadership identities that have made them successful.
Yeah.
You talk about 5 identities. Can you talk more about that?
Sure. So over the years of coaching, I identified 5 typical patterns of leadership identities, and the book talks about those identities. I'm consciously acknowledging them and saying this is what brought the leaders and brought the GCCs to what stage they are so far. And so it's important to acknowledge that these are important leadership identities. So let me talk to you about the 5 identities. So the first one is the delivery leader, who focuses and gets things done. So these are people who are extremely good at execution. The second one is the expert leader. These are people who have extremely good knowledge of the domain. These are people who understand the functional part of their business extremely well. And then the third is the efficiency leader. This is the person who has made sure that with less you are able to do more, or with the same you are able to do more, bringing in the necessary processes to bring the efficiency. And then you have what I'm calling as the safe leader. These are leaders who have understood how to navigate the political system of the organization. They are people who have built good relationships, and these are people who have made sure that there are no casualties on the pathway. And then you have the next set of emerging strategic leaders, and these are the ones who are actually moving in from those functional backgrounds or silos to an enterprise level, but they still have some rough edges which they are working on. So those are the 5 leadership identities that I talk in the book about.
Great. So India, as you know, has close to 2,100 GCCs employing close to around 2.3 million people, generating around 100 billion revenues. And you can see the scale of operations just going up, and the mandate is also changing. They want more from GCCs. So how do you see the identity of the leader shifting? Do you think it's hitting a ceiling there?
You're right, Clement. The numbers do tell us one part of the story. I think what is changing majorly is the expectation. What the GCC headquarter is asking the GCC leader is, what is your view? What are you advocating for? Because the GCC leader has a panoramic view of all that exists and co-located at the GCC, and they have a specific insight which probably the people sitting at the headquarters do not have. And that is what they want to understand. So the identity that was rewarded in the past was about execution, was about smooth workflows or efficiency, etc. But the leaders are now being asked to move away from that and get into a different zone where to take a decision there is no existing framework. They have to take a decision based on their own analysis and their own judgment. And to this, you add the AI layer. AI is extremely good at understanding patterns. It has the necessary expert level knowledge. It brings in obviously the efficiency. So the ask for a GCC leader is not the way they have operated in the past. It is moving to what sort of judgment they can make, what sort of influence they can create without authority, for example, understanding of the people, experimentation, etc. So it's really about moving away from some of the older leadership identities, but it's not about dropping them. It's about building on top of them.
Talking about dimensions in your book, you also spoke about certain dimensions which a leader needs to now start
Yeah.
focusing on. Can you talk about these dimensions?
Yes, thanks. I'm calling them the edge or the four dimensions which are required, and edge is the acronym for that. So the first one is the enterprise judgment.
Okay.
The second one is directional influence. The third is growth of others. And the fourth one is experimentation for value.
It's interesting because you've kept enterprise judgment as your first dimension.
Yeah.
And usually, when we do leadership development programs, it comes as a big surprise when you talk about enterprise judgment. So why did you select enterprise judgment as the first dimension?
Good one. The remaining three, let me just quickly negate them first. I think directional influence, growth of others, experimentation, like you said, seem to be obvious, though the flavors have changed. But enterprise judgment is the most critical one because the need for people to move or the leaders to move from their legacy functional background or the silos that they have been in to an enterprise level of mindset. So at this stage, how do they transition from a mindset which was technology or marketing or IT or HR, finance, etc., to thinking broader at an enterprise level and being able to take a judgment call on certain things where the frameworks are not available. It's entirely new. Everybody is as good as you. So you have to take a call based on your conviction and what are you advocating for. And hence, enterprise judgment is really the key one.
True, and many organizations are struggling with this mindset shift where they want leaders to now start looking at a firm-wide lens and using a
Correct.
firm-wide lens. So I think it makes sense. What about the second dimension, which is also quite interesting, which is more
Yeah.
of direction?
Yeah, so the directional influence again has two parts to it. I've realized from a lot of coaching experiences and training experiences that it's critical for leaders. And really, what differentiates a leader is the vision, their ability to think ahead, the company or the organization or the team. Where does it need to head in the next 3 years, 5 years? Do they have a vision and a direction? I think that's very important to have a point of view and where do you want things to go and using that to influence whether it is your team members, stakeholders, reporting managers, customers, clients, internal clients, etc. So directional influence is very critical because you need to have a vision, a point of view, and leveraging that to influence people.
Yeah, which reminds me of a very famous quote where John Maxwell said that leadership is influence, nothing less,
Oh,
nothing more.
absolutely.
And also, I'm very curious to know about how do you know what's your identity? Is there an assessment or is there a way for a leader to know what is their existing identity and their aspiring identity?
Absolutely. I've got an assessment created, which is available online for people to take. It's a maybe a 10 to 12-minute assessment, which can actually give you two parts of insights. One is out of those five leadership identities that we spoke about, what is the one that you have potentially brought the GCC to so far? So, what is the one which is predominant over there for you as a leader? The second part is out of the four dimensions that we are talking about, which is the one you have already started to leverage in your role and which is coming up at a high level. And so the assessment is interesting and useful for GCC leaders to look at what has been their past and how can they build on their leadership journey in the future. And so this assessment is already available on my website, and it should take about 10-12 minutes to complete.
Okay. So when can I go ahead and buy this book?
It is available right now,
Okay.
from now on Amazon, on all their global websites.
Okay.
So feel free to visit Amazon and buy this book.
So what strikes me the most about this conversation is, one is you're saying don't lose out on your old identity, keep it, but at the same time build the new dimensions, which is the edge framework. Use that to move into the future requirements of a leader from a GCC. And the assessment, I think that's also a great takeaway. Yeah, so wonderful speaking to you. Any closing remarks?
Yeah, I think given the opportunity of GCCs in the country, with the large number of GCCs and hundreds and thousands of people building their careers in GCCs, I think the key is for the GCC leader to evolve. And when the GCC leader evolves, there are a lot of ripples in the organization benefiting the people in the GCC. So I think in that context, would encourage people, all of you, to read this book.
Yeah, because they say the quality of an organization depends on the quality of leaders.
Oh yeah, absolutely, completely agree.
So thank you, everyone.
Thanks.